From the Pep Radio newsroom, these are the stories we are following at this hour. NBC Connecticut is reporting that LGBTQ plus advocates in Connecticut say they've received dozens of phone calls in the last 2 weeks from people who feel worried and anxious about the next 4 years. We've heard from people who are angry, people who are scared, and a lot of people who just feel numb, said Johannes Schubert, co-chair of West Hartford Pride. President-elect Donald Trump has suggested rolling back some policies from Title IX civil rights protections for transgender students to transition-related care for minors. In response, pride groups from around the state came together in West Hartford's Blueback Square on Sunday to offer support. This is really an opportunity for people to come together, to lean on each other, to find out who is in their networks, and just be in the community, said Schubert. Schubert organized this rally with the help of other groups, including the Accountability Project, which works with schools across the state to make sure they're maintaining a safe learning environment for trans youth. The fear is so profound and so intense right now that I think there's a lot of people who need to see how many people are working every day on behalf of the LGBTQ plus community and to hear that invitation to join us in our work, said Melissa Combs, founder of the Out Accountability Project. The Washington Post is reporting that all year long, Donald Trump pushed an education culture war from the campaign trail. Now, as president-elect, he's set to press it from the seat of power in Washington, sending fresh energy into a movement that mushroomed over the 4 years since he last occupied the Oval Office. As a candidate, Trump repeatedly promised to drive, quote, critical race theory and transgender insanity, end quote, out of schools and block federal funds from schools that refuse. He vowed to prevent transgender girls playing on girls' and women's athletic teams, or as he put it, keep men out of women's sports. And he promised to give parents new rights to monitor their children's education. Now, details were often sketchy, and some of Trump's promises contradict each other. Others may be difficult, if not impossible, to fulfill, in part because states and local school boards, not the federal government, operate public schools. But there are roadmaps available to execute much of his agenda, in some cases via Congress, and in others through executive action. And while his promise to shut down the Department of Education has drawn enormous attention, experts in both parties say this is not likely to have sufficient support. A more likely outcome is Trump using the department to press a conservative worldview. In Congress, a vote is expected on GOP legislation dubbed a Parents' Bill of Rights. A version approved by the House last year requires that schools inform parents they have the right to review curriculums, school spending, and library books. It also says elementary and middle school teachers must obtain parents' agreement before changing a student's name or pronouns or permitting a student to use a locker room or bathroom that does not match their biological sex. In other words, the sex assigned at birth, a directive that would be at odds with the law in California and the policy in hundreds of school districts. Trump might also push legislation barring transgender girls and women from playing on female sports teams. And many Republicans are keen to create federal tax credit for donations to school voucher programs, another Trump promise. But even without congressional action, the new administration could advance its agenda using executive power. Now, if you are interested in learning more about the topics in today's news, go to the Pennsylvania Equality Project's website at paequality.com and click on the radio tower. Be sure to download the Live 365 app to take Pep Radio with you as you go. And that's the news at this hour. So now let's get back to more music on Pep Radio.